Gairbeg, tell us, where are we now and what are we doing here? We're on our way to my parents' village, stopped here to take some photos of our brand. Next, we're heading to the village to meet my family. Do they like sports here in general? Are there any local champs or popular sports? What was it like growing up here? Of course, all the villagers love sports here. For example, volleyball's huge in our area. Pretty much everyone plays it, but we don't have any pro-level stuff going on here, since it's a small village. Also, a lot of young people are actively leaving for bigger cities. But I'm glad that kids who finish school here come to the city now. Since I coach there, they come to me and train with me, and I hope that after some time, we'll raise a new generation of athletes from my village, who can compete at a high level. I think that, in a way, I've become a living proof for them, that even being born in a tiny village like ours, you can still achieve great results. And I'm counting on more top athletes coming from here besides just me. All right, we're in. What was Gairbeg like as a kid? If I said something, he would do this. He took things seriously. You mentioned he loved sports since he was a child. He loved football. He had those thick 96-page notebooks completely filled with football player photos. Each team member got their own page. The kid was glued to that sport. There's a room on the lower floor, and he set up his own gym there, even hung a pull-up bar on the ceiling, with a metal channel. So he loved training and did it on his own initiative. What was your childhood like here? Pretty typical for that time. My parents had livestock, cows, sheep. I'd help my father with watching over them, herding them, searching when they wandered off, just general farm chores. And like all village kids, we played football in the yard, did some pull-ups, dips, and so on. As soon as he starts shrimping, we drop in, step over, and control his head with our hips, then switch the controlling arm. He's a hard worker. Like, I don't know anyone to match him on that matter. Let me describe his 2016 schedule the way I remember it. He never missed morning sessions, and because he lived far away from the gym, after the session he was like, why would I go home now? And sometimes he wouldn't return home. He'd finish the morning session, grab a quick bite somewhere, and just wait around till 2:30 p.m. Then train again until 6. So sometimes he didn't go home and basically lived at the gym and used every chance he got to roll or drill. And I could see it paying off in competitions, how he changed. Of course, it didn't happen overnight, but I saw him gradually improve week after week. And overall, he made great progress. He's incredibly hardworking. I've seen him fight for years, from his early days to now. His dedication and how he leaves it all out on the mat, it's outstanding. I'd like to ask about your faith. your religion. How does it help you stay strong through the challenges of your athletic journey? I know it plays a huge role in your life. Absolutely. In our religion, Islam, we believe there's divine wisdom in everything. Victories, losses, illness, health. We believe everything comes from Allah, and despite all hardships in our finite life, everything that's good and everything that's bad ultimately holds blessings for us. Take a loss in a match, for example. Some people wonder why I take it with ease. It's because our faith teaches us to embrace it as it comes, and not to beat ourselves up or drown in frustration. And that's why I think our faith makes us really strong. When Gairbeg entered university and started doing sports seriously, was there any conflict between sports and studies? I told him, listen, if you're truly committed to this sport, keep going. I'll settle all the financial issues. And that was my promise to him. He said, Mom, they're letting me go to Colombia. Can I go? And I told him, go, I'll help you however I can. And that's when he traveled abroad for the first time. It's his own achievement that he became an athlete. Not mine, not Musabeg's, not anyone else's, his own. See how heavy that downpour is? That's not fog, it's a rainstorm. Yeah. Looks like it'll reach us here soon. Since we're at your home, and you know, home is like a place of power for everyone, I wanted to ask about your losses. How do you cope with them? Does being here on your home ground with your family help you recover? Yes, absolutely. The support of my loved ones first and foremost. I also think growing up here in the mountains definitely hardened me up. But support from the loved ones is what really makes you strong. When we spoke privately, you told me about your unique situation, that you have only one kidney. It's something you've had to manage throughout your entire athletic career. That fact makes your already incredible achievements even more astounding, even shocking. You've been able to stay in peak condition for so long and even become the best in the country. Tell us about that. How's it possible? Back in my university years when I was combining studying and sambo, I was told I should compete in a tournament, and they asked me to get a medical checkup. So I went to the sports health center, and there they told me I had kidney stones. I was around 18, 19, maybe 20 years old at the time, and I didn't really understand how important the kidneys were, or how serious this problem was. When I finally told my parents, they called some doctors, called an ambulance, and they admitted me to the hospital. They did the surgery, everything was fine. But after that, it all happened for the second time, and then again for the third time. So during the third operation, they discovered that the kidney wasn't functioning anymore, and they had to remove it. Even after the kidney was removed, I still didn't really get how serious it was. But at least I had no plans to keep wrestling or training, because the doctors told me I basically had to give up all physical activity. So, just as I started training at 18 or 19, I had to take 2 years off because of the kidney. But despite that 2-year break, I started going to the gym again. I got that fire back, tried rolling a couple times, and it worked out. So I slowly got back into it, and eventually I ended up grappling. These days, thankfully, it seems that I don't have any problems. I get a full checkup every 6 months. So, did you have any kind of internal controversy when all this happened? Like when you started seeing success in training again? I mean, on one hand, you have this serious health issue, the doctors are telling you to stop training, to quit professional sport. But on the other hand, you're doing well in practice and you have this desire of self-fulfillment. I had arguments with my mom. As for my dad, he didn't say it directly, but he was against my comeback as well. My mom kept telling me it wasn't worth it, that I shouldn't do it, that such heavy physical activities were still prohibited. But like you said, I started getting better, and I kind of started training harder and harder against my mom's will. And I think over time, my mom just came to accept it. And during that period when you had just started training again after the surgery, did this health issue hold you back somehow? Did you feel sick? Did you handle less training load than the others? Was there something like that? So, for 2 years after the surgery, I did absolutely nothing. No sports or even physical activity at all. And then when I came back, I could only handle basic drills at first. Then rolling with smaller partners, then I made it harder, just bit by bit. But it just sort of happened that way. It's not like I had this master plan to start slowly. It just naturally worked out like that. And so, ladies and gentlemen, in this bright and spectacular match, the winner and the one advancing to the finals,
Gairbeg Ibragimov!
People have huge respect for your ability to stay calm and cold-blooded, even in the most pulse-pounding and toughest matches. You almost never have easy fights, but you always get out from the positions where I would have tapped long before. So tell us, how do you handle all this psychologically? I think it comes down to experience. Over the last 10 years, I've sometimes competed in 3 tournaments a month, and these have been high-level events. So it all adds up, and you learn to listen to your corner, watch the clock, read your opponent, and you start to truly understand your own capabilities. When you add it all up, it just gives you this belief that you can find a way to win. Have you ever had those days when you feel like just giving up your sport? You know, when you wake up and just don't feel like going to the gym at all? It happens, then I don't feel like going to the gym, but I never wanted to quit sports. For real, never. Because I really like it. I love sports. I realized that after just 2 or 3 days of not going to the gym, I just love grappling, rolling, and so on. Instead of just warming up as usual, we started doing drills, using them technically as the warm-up, and then going straight into rolling. I love rolling, a lot. I also use it to replace the stuff other guys can do outside the gym, so things like CrossFit or weights are out for even more sparring. This way we get 30 to 40 minutes more of it and like 10 extra rounds. And that compensates both for the CrossFit and for the functional training. I do some body weight conditioning though, but that's it. And I'm a big fan of resistance bands too. So bands and body weight conditioning are what I use to run strength training. Do the local athletes here use modern tech like smartwatches? You know, those that track your stats and tell you your current physical condition? At my last training camp, we used a heart rate monitor. We monitored the training load. All this tech is something that has only recently caught on here. Whereas everywhere else in the world, it's always been the common thing, and that's how it should be. We have this saying in Dagestan, a healthy athlete isn't really an athlete. And that's wrong. An athlete should be genuinely healthy, not all taped up, broken, and torn. So it's a good thing when a person watches their health, because that's the most important thing. Do local athletes here use ice baths or saunas for recovery? I've noticed a lot of people using cryosaunas. They say it helps with healing some minor injuries, so cryosaunas are actually pretty popular here. What about regular saunas? Regular ones? Those are out of the question. We literally have one right in our Universal Fighters gym. If we want, we can fire it up any day, but it's usually on and available for everyone at the end of the week. On Fridays and Saturdays. And it's completely free for everyone. So we got no problem with that at all. Are there any unique Dagestani recovery methods? Broadtail fat. With the right approach, it's almost a medicine. It's rich in vitamins and so on. We don't really use all those fancy recovery methods. For us, some hearty, high-calorie food is the best recovery. An athlete's diet before competitions and just in general during training is a huge part of the whole process. One way or another, it contributes to the final result, to the victory. So, does anyone help you with your nutrition, or do you just intuitively try to eat natural food or something? Over the years, I've really gotten to know my body well. I understand what works for me and what doesn't. I also study and listen to advice from professionals. If they say try this or try that, I can play around with that, but only if I'm not preparing for a competition. Because you shouldn't introduce anything new to your diet during the prep. Maybe there's a nutritionist on your team, or someone who's better at this issue or has studied it deeper than others. Do you have people like that on your team? Yes, but usually they work with fighters, not grapplers, but we do consult with them too. It's just that in grappling, we don't cut weight as much, so there's no real need for strict nutrition control. But fighters, as we know, often have to cut a lot of weight, so we sometimes ask for their advice. Alright, let's get a good warm-up in. About 10 minutes, 15 max. Try to get a good sweat going. Let's go. Time. No matter what position you end up in, your main goal is to take and control the back in any way you can. And that means getting one leg hooked in, both hooked in, or locking in a body triangle. Once you have that, you win. At this point, it's over. You stop rolling. Yes, good job. The back. Always work for the back control. Tell us about him as a coach, not from the technical side, but the human side. What's he like? He's really good at explaining things. He does it pretty well. He never pushes us too hard or talks down to us. He just softly shows you the right way, so nobody loses their love for the sport. You don't even need side control, just control the back. I wanted to ask, where do you see yourself in, say, 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years? if you've thought that far ahead. It's hard to say because life can change at any moment, but right now I'd say I'll most likely remain a coach in grappling. And that's the plan for now. But of course, anything's possible in the future. Gairbeg, can you tell us how you spend your free time when you're not training? Mostly I spend it at home with my family and kids. I also love outdoor activities, going to the sea sometimes, and horses, of course. That's kind of my soft spot. I really like horses. Trail rides are one of my hobbies. But I love not only riding them, I just love these animals. Is that your favorite animal? Yeah, you could say that. Why? Like, absolutely. Why horses exactly? I don't know. They just draw me in somehow. You build this connection with horses. It's like we're of the same nature. I love that sense of freedom I think I share with them. Like I said, I like going out on trail rides sometimes. Of course, what I enjoy most is doing it with friends. But sometimes I ride alone up high to the mountains, and sometimes it just brings a kind of inner peace. Do you actually feel that popularity? It's not like I stand out that much, although in the grappling world, people do know me. I wouldn't say a huge number of people recognize me outside of that. Still, it feels good when people come up to me, congratulate me, say they watched my matches. I really like that, especially when young guys message me on Instagram saying I started grappling thanks to you, or I saw your matches, and so on. It makes me happy thinking I might be a reason for some young people to stay away from bad influences from the streets. I also feel responsible for the guys I train. They see me as an authority, a kind of role model, both in sports and outside of it. Because what's the point of having popularity if you're not using it to influence the youth in a good way? What do your fans write to you on social media, by the way? You mentioned some say they started training because of you. Do they ask for anything else, like a piece of advice? How many times a day to train, questions about nutrition, about cutting weight, about things that motivate me? They're interested in the right approach to training, how often to train, what kind of workload, what kind of nutrition, and stuff like that. Popularity has both positive and negative sides. You know, in our industry, there's a lot of hate coming from certain people. So, have you ever faced hate on social media? I feel like I get very little hate. Of course, some people have their own point of view, and that's just how it is. It's their right to have their own opinion. But there's a handful of people who may write something like this to me. Usually I just laugh it off because most of the time it's from people who don't know me and who've never even met me. But there are so few of them that it's almost none. When opponents use dirty tactics during a match, how do you react? At the latest trials, all these things the guys did there, like slaps. Here in Dagestan, they wouldn't get away with that. During the trials I had, like 7 matches, the opponents were really rude, and sometimes it felt like they were fighting dirty on purpose. And like I said, here in Dagestan, they'd get instant payback. Well, I just understood that for me, it was all about showing the result. If everything else is happening, I can settle it after the match. And by the way, I already got things done with one guy. So, do you actually enjoy the whole popularity thing, the new followers, the interactions? Do you like being involved in all that? Like scrolling through comments while relaxing in the evening with some tea after training? I really enjoy coaching and, in general, being in this field of grappling. The field I like. I think I'm pretty good at both competing and coaching, and I still believe that I have a lot to offer as a coach. Unfortunately, I can't dedicate much time to coaching since I'm still competing. Anyway, I get more satisfaction from training and coaching than from reading comments or checking Instagram views and all that. When your fans write to you with questions like the ones you just mentioned, do you usually reply? Pretty much always I reply to everyone. When I have time, I open all the messages, go through them, and answer as much as I can. Cool, good job.
Дальше проходит Gairbeg Ibragimov.
Do you feel how much Dagestan loved him? How the crowd was supporting him? I was shocked, really shocked. I thought, why wouldn't I go support my own son at his competition? Especially when even kids from his sports club were so fired up about it. Their parents, older brothers, and other relatives drove them because they were like, our coach is competing there, let's go. I don't know if you realize this, but your son is one of the best examples of true sportsmanship. There's no one else like him. And now he's qualified for the World Championship. For the first time in a long while, he'll be representing his republic and the whole country. He used to tell me, Dad, I have one dream, to go to America. And that's what he said to me. Just one dream, to get there. Now he already has his visa, so everything is set. He was so nervous about it. He said, Mom, what if I don't get this visa? I'm so worried. We were all worried. Yes, everyone was. But it all worked out. Inshallah. And the result will be inshallah. Favorite technique? Takedown. Which one? Double leg. Favorite position? Back mount. Gi or no gi? 50-50, no difference. Stand up or ground? Same answer. Another sport, if not grappling or jiu-jitsu. Freestyle wrestling. Favorite grappler? Mendez. Favorite dish? Hinkal. Which kind? Of our style. Favorite gear brand? Leone. Thank you, Gairbeg.